Okay, welcome everyone to the dApp Developer Working Group session for Tuesday, September 24th. Go ahead, Gary. What were you
Okay.
discussing?
My idea is we were talking yesterday in the blockchain art session about how we're going to use robot to interact with an, an art object that we create and store and know the hash of. And we're going to allow robot to interact with the world now so that robot can enforce the rules of the Roland contract, which will determine, to varying in many different ways how our art object is consumed.
Okay.
So my thinking is we're going to create a team over there for this art object, and the membership in the team is going to be decided in official meetings. And I propose an initial membership for the let's call it the Roland AOTV, unless we've already got one over there that will suit our purposes. But if we go that route, I may end up having to kick people out, and then we have to discuss bringing them in later, because I can't remember who all I've allowed in to
Sure.
all the channels over there. But for
Okay.
this particular channel, we're going to have rules. We'll create an art for this art object. We'll use the Roland art on the blockchain team, and it's by membership to be determined by the owners. And those, I mean, okay, now we know who owns the object. It's the members of the channel.
Okay. Right.
Now the next thing we need to do is we need to create, each of us need to create what we're going to do is really we're going to create a wallet that we can allow robot to have access to.
Okay.
And it's gonna, there's going to be some trust involved, and ultimately it's going to boil down to who has the private keys.
So just a clarification, will this be like a team wallet for that team? One wallet, or will each member of the team have their individual wallets within
Yeah,
that team?
both.
Okay.
I'm thinking that robot will have a wallet,
Okay.
and each member of the team will have a wallet.
Okay.
All right.
All
So I think robot already has a wallet, but now what I'm going to use, I don't have much money in my in what I call my main Keybase account.
Okay.
So for the purposes of this project, and I think it's so important, I'm just going to continue using my main account. Uh, I would suggest that if you have a lot of money in your main account, that you not use that.
Okay. Yeah, I just have basically what we got from the space drop this past week.
The same here, and so I'm just going to use my main
Okay.
account for this, and that can always be changed.
Okay.
but I'm suggesting that everyone create a Keybase account that robot can have access to. And by that I mean robot can move money out of it.
Okay.
So have access to, because robot can always move money to any address that it knows, but it can't move money out of an address unless it's got the private key, right?
Right.
Okay. Does all that sound okay?
Yeah, I'm tracking on that.
And so what I can do is set up the team and start adding known members that I can identify. And who I'm going to add to that is, of course, I'll add Gary. I think my name over there is Gary Coulter. And I'll add Steve Henley, whatever address I have for you and I trust. And then you can confirm that I added the right one, Steve Henley. I'll add Jim Scarver. I'll add Eric. Who else? Steve?
Yeah, I'm thinking of those of us who are interested in blockchain art. And as of right now, it looks like it's the four of us.
Okay. But we Steve and I agreed by Robert's Rules of Order that we will add these, and agreed that all future membership will be approved in a meeting. And the reason I'm saying that is this is a long-winded way of saying there's going to be a lot of people that have to be trusted here.
Okay.
So, pretty much everybody in this channel indirectly will have access to all of those wallets through robot.
Okay.
And I would have to include myself in that list, and obviously Jim Scarver.
Mm-hmm.
But anyone else who has the technical savvy to go look at our robot, they're going to actually have to have access to the place that we store the private key. Now, where we store that is going to become it's going to have to be determined, in agreement in these meetings, I suppose.
Okay.
And the reason I'm spending so much time on this is because that's where we are now.
Sure.
We're about to start moving value, assets, bidirectionally, and they're going to have value, and we're going to be trusting other people
Right.
to that value.
Right. Mm-hmm. I follow you.
So I don't know if this opens up more of a can of worms than we want, but I don't think it does, because I think if we keep those accounts at a very low level, we can still do everything we want with our toy dApp.
Mm-hmm.
And we might find that we have to abandon this particular instance and start over with new channels or something. But it's, you know, it's no big deal.
Yeah, you know, it's all in that effort of creating that proof of concept.
Yep. But to me, talking about generating income from the dApp is one of the, I don't know, it seems to be one of the first things we should be worried about. You know, how is this dApp going to pay for itself? You know, minimally pay for itself. I can't spend money on a dApp indefinitely.
Right. Well, in a sense, we're kind of co-opting the Keybase is, in a sense, providing the finance for this first iteration of our art object on a blockchain. So, you know, if each of us are getting, you know, approximately $20 a month for the next year, you know, that's, you know, $200 a piece, 2, 4, 6, 8. So, and I would think in a year's time, we'll have a sense of the state of the project. You know, so, you know, it's a year from now will be September 2020. Will we be still having these conversations? In or will it, you know, all of this kind of fall apart? Hopefully, we will be having these conversations, but we'll be at a different place. And where we'll be, you know, we don't have any sense of that right now. So, you know, I think certainly, you know, we press on knowing that these unresolved issues will get addressed at some point in time in the future. So, such as, you know, and this has been brought to the attention of Eric, you know, by Ned, Ned says to Eric, yeah, you know, compute time, storage time, there's costs involved with that. You know, how is that going to be, who's going to be paying those costs? And Eric always comes back with an answer. You know, he talks about galleries and curators and so forth. So Eric is the person in the group that has those connections, and he seems confident that, you know, there's a source of funding with those. So, you know, they're either there or they're not. So once we get to that point, to say, okay, Eric, you know, the project has progressed along. You had mentioned that there's resources available in the art world who will help, you know, cover the expenses of the project and the dApp. Can you connect with your network? And we'll see what happens. You know, if it happens, great, then the project continues its life. But if it doesn't, then something else will happen. So I think all of those issues will, by necessity, get addressed at some point in the coming months.
Yeah, here's an interesting point. We're in the dApp development group making decisions for the art on the blockchain project.
Well, and I think that's appropriate. Well, oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. Um, and when we think about, you know, Robert's rules of order, um, yeah, I see where you're coming from. Would it be more appropriate for these types of discussions to happen in the blockchain art session or forum? You know, if there's decisions like these being made, what we can do for now is certainly we're thinking through these issues, and we have an idea of what direction he needs to go. But what we can do is, on Monday, bring these up, you know, make them bring up these. Well, and I think
Yes.
so. Bring up the topics, and then
Or
say, we want to, create some formality to
yes.
these sessions.
Yeah. This was just a working group for the Art on the Blockchain project.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
All right. So we will discuss all of these items in the AOTB meeting on Monday. And we will do that by, could we just copy this content
Sure.
to the agenda for?
Exactly. So what I'll do, and actually I'll do that now. We have a blockchain art folder,
Yeah.
uh, and we have the blockchain art log. So let me go ahead and create an instance for the agenda for next week for blockchain art. So we won't have to um, think what it was we were trying to do. It'll all be
Yeah.
in front of us.
And we can be adding other things to the agenda for Monday.
Sure.
But those are the things that have been burning me up for the last 2 hours.
Okay.
I mean, I'm really getting excited about this this little dApp
It's great.
because it has the potential to become. I mean, we can compose it, people can clone it, and use the same techniques to have an art object up, immediately. That can, if they abide by the contract, generate revenue for them. Because if we set up this dApp, say we just set this thing up so that this meeting can be seen from channels on Keybase that we tell Robot to monitor. And if people want to click that link,
Mm-hmm.
where, and that file will reside on the official version of that file will reside on the public folder of the Art on the Blockchain project that we discussed creating here previously. Robot will have the ability to transfer to their wallet and it will have the ability to transfer from our wallets to their wallet. Now, we don't even have to put the hooks up for them to give us permission to take money out of their wallets, because just being able to, they can send us money directly. Do you see what I mean?
Right. Is it a manual process? They have to make a conscious effort or a manual effort to.
It would be the following. We would pop up a JavaScript file that would allow them to send the message on Keybase that would send us 5 lumen, for instance.
Oh, okay.
I mean, that's just a text message
Mm-hmm.
that if it's sent from their verified account on Keybase,
Mm-hmm.
then Keybase will know to transfer the money for us from their wallet to our wallet. So we don't need to,
Mm-hmm.
except for the owners, we don't have to have their private keys. All we have to have is their name to send them money on Keybase.
Oh, right.
I can send Gary Coulter, Steve Henley, Jim Scarver, and Eric. I can send you all of my $21.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then I wouldn't have anything left. But it's not difficult to do. I can't say I've done that very often. I have sent money between the accounts I own just to see how it's done.
Mm-hmm.
And the mechanics of doing it automatically are a little bit more complex, but not much. We handle it at the command line. Robot can do it automatically. And if I can do it manually, then I know that robot can do it almost as easily at the command line, but
Mm-hmm.
certainly without the research time that I've got to go through to remember how to send money.
Sure. Right. Yeah. And I like that idea that a little window pops up and say, would you like to send 5 lumen now? They click on that, then they get access.
Yeah, they become members of the room, or or we give them the real link, and we don't deceive them.
Mm-hmm.
The link says view our video and help support RChain,
Right.
or help support this art project,
Right.
and they say, okay, for 10 lumen, you can become a member of the whole team, and not only can you view this but
Yeah.
you can view all the tools that we use to make the project.
Mm-hmm.
And depending on what we have decided, to become members of the team, that could be, but by the time we're we're being really picky, what we charge for membership in the art project could be quite pricey. But
Mm-hmm.
by that time, the art project would probably be producing revenue.
Okay. Yeah, I'm starting to see your vision. I'm starting to understand why you're getting excited about it, because it is kind of exciting. We've got this small kernel now, but you think about the vision and how the scalability of it, and then it starts to get interesting.
Yes, yeah. I just love the idea that we license it once and then just give the instructions for how anyone else can license it. We don't care what they do with it as long as they abide by our contract. They can
Right.
enhance it. They can, and they don't have to, if they don't, use any of our pricey content, then they just use the skeleton itself
Mm-hmm.
and start from scratch.
Mm-hmm.
That it's very interesting.
Yeah. Neat.
Yeah. My wife called me and told me she wanted me to order some things on Amazon for her sister, and I said, I've got a meeting in 45 minutes, and she said, well, could you use the 45 minutes between now and the meet? And I said, well, the reason I brought it up, Marcia, was because I'm on a roll now. I'm having a brainstorm about this project going, and I kept, I kept saying, I want to say this.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry more people didn't show up.
Mm-hmm.
But you had great turnout in the wallet
Mm-hmm.
group this morning. So that was a real positive outcome from the dApp developers group, because didn't y'all decide to do that here?
Yeah, it was here in Jim's room.
So this is a good simmering pot for ideas, I think.
Yeah. And speaking of the wallet, I'm not sure where you came in, but my RChain wallet, I think as a group, we've got a handle on it. We've got Arvin, who's the front end developer, so he's busily working on that piece, and in a week's time, he'll have the functionality for creating an account. So he'll demo that possibly next Tuesday. So, and Tomislav was in on the call. So, he, from his perspective, he's working on more of the back end, connecting that front end to the back end. And, so he's got all those pieces in his mind of what needs to happen. And then we're just waiting on one component for the core RChain development, which is listen at name is being replaced. Listen for data at name is being replaced with uh, a block event API. So when that block event API becomes available, we'll essentially have all the pieces we need to complete the wallet. And then there's a ticket out there for the test rev faucet. So we'll be able to generate our own test rev to put the wallet through its paces, through its hardening. We'll do that in a couple weeks. So ideally, I see the core dev finishing up the final cost accounting and the block event API in the middle of October sometime. So that's coming to completion. So they want a month worth of testing and hardening of the network. So that brings us into the first couple weeks. First couple weeks or middle of November is when I anticipate mainnet to go live, and we should have the wallet together sometime in October. So, and then once we feel confident that the wallet does what it is going to do and do it securely, then we'll do a demonstration on the community call to let people know, hey, we have my RChain wallet, what the functionality is, and how this rollout is going to happen. So all those pieces are coming into place.
Yeah, that's good news. I know we can't get far if we don't have a wallet.
Yeah.
But yeah, I haven't been. I don't know why I haven't been worried too much about the wallet project. I know I respect the people who are spending time on it, and I'm glad they are. But
Mm-hmm.
I'll just have to admit that their technical understanding is an order of magnitude above my own.
Yeah, Tomislav, it was helpful as when he explained, the elliptical curve. He didn't go into the mechanics of it, but I understand, and with Ned's help, understand that process. It's not I'm not sure if you're probably aware of this already, but it's always worth repeating, especially for the people who are going to be watching this session on YouTube. So it's for rock to rev, it's not a transfer or a conversion from rock into rev. What it is, it's more of a duplication. So you have your rock, say you have 10,000 rock. What'll happen is you'll be issued 10,000 rev. So you'll have both. You'll have your 10,000 rock and you'll have your 10,000 rev. Now, the rock will be available in your current wallet where you have the rock, and the rev will show up on my RChain wallet, and you'll use your same private key to get access to both, and then your public key for the rev will be a conversion. So they're using an algorithm for doing this conversion of taking your public rock key, doing this conversion to get your rev key, and that's what you'll use when people want to send you rev, is using that new key. But if you want to send rock, you would use that same private key that you're currently using for rock. You'll just be using a RChain wallet to do it. So the pieces, I understand the landscape, the flow, and now the responsibility will be for RChain to communicate what this program is, so all of those involved, all the rock holders, have an understanding of what this uh, uh, pathway is. And then yeah, so things are moving along, coming together.
Well, I've got another interview in, oh, it's wait a minute, it's hour and 20 minutes.
So yeah, so thinking about art on the blockchain, and I like that that acronym, the title, art on the blockchain. It expresses exactly what it is, and given that the audience, for the most part, will be people who will be encountering blockchain for the first time, so that's keeping it simple is important, and having that acronym AOTB, art on the blockchain, it's expressive and it communicates. So I thought that was I've just been sitting here thinking about that, and as far as a branding, that's nice. So so I see, and this is me thinking over the past day or so. We have the blockchain art kind of a working group, but we were talking earlier about the scalability, and now we're talking about the transfers of money, and how we're making these decisions, and we should have Robert's rules of order. So there's, in a sense, a art on the blockchain. Those of us, the four of us who are involved, are in a sense the governance committee of art on the blockchain. We're helping define what it is, and providing the vision, the guidance, and directions. So and now I'm starting to think of it in that fashion of we're a governing body, and we set up this structure for others in the future to come in and get acclimated and participate. And so when the day comes for us, those of us who started it move on, those of it who are involved have this understanding, and the guidance, and the governance to oversee it. So so it's essentially the art on the blockchain governance committee, and I'll be interested in hearing what Eric's thought on this. I can't. It's hard for me to second guess something that he may like and something he doesn't like. But I think that might be something we should bring up as far as uh, art on the blockchain. Creating this sense of structure and formality. And does he see it as a sense of the four of us, a governing body over that? He likes protocols, not platform. Does having a governance body, is that too centralized or in too controlling, or does he see it uh, more of a loose orientation? But I think, with anything to take root, there has to be someone or a group of someone's who say, this is what it is, and this is how it's going to be, regardless of what it is, and they're setting the vision and the governance. So I think so. We'll bring up these conversations with him on Monday and kind of see. And I think Eric is in a sense the chairman of the Art on the Blockchain Governance Committee. So he's
Yeah,
as the chairman.
and I see us, recognizing that in the way we, evaluate the his contributions to it. I think the founding, I would consider his his white paper sort of our founding document.
Right.
So there's probably some founders rewards
Mm.
due on the basis of that particular document. And the nice thing is we can look at all of the energy that Eric has put into this, and it becomes somehow that value can be expressed in the document itself as being part of the art. And he would get more credit for that than the two comments I made in it, maybe.
Well, and I think we need an exercise to understand how to do this, and what better than to use this example of the four of us are the governing board for Art on the Blockchain. Eric is the chairman, and with the resource that he's provided, in the smart contract, he'll be compensated for that. So we got to lay out, what how they're defined, and then we transfer that to create the mechanism, the mechanic, or the smart contract that executes it when that funding is available. So and that maybe sometime down the road, but it's that exercise which helps us to understand the mechanics of how this is going to work for an artist. So we take that, and then that's a template. Okay, so now we're working with an artist who has a digital art piece. What's the smart contract going to be? How is it defined? And then get those definitions, and then work to creating that smart contract. So that's how I think we're working on creating that first smart contract. So we know what the content is. It's the videos we create for blockchain art. That's the art piece, which gets stored on the file. It gets hashed and stored on the file. And now we're working on what are the definitions and the language written in the smart contract. So that can be then another topic of discussion for Monday. So I'll add that to the agenda as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm I'm impressed that we were able to get to the point where Jim writes down the prototype contract for a work of art on the blockchain, and now all we have to do is fill in those contracts and fields. But so that's one path we can go, but there's still so much that we can do, I mean, there's so much preparation that can be done for that, so that when we have all these pieces working together, I think the inspiration for Roland contracts is just going to start flowing flowing out of us.
Yeah.
Kind of the way I felt like I was having a brainstorm today. But I had another idea too, that we're sort of drilling this well down into this natural resource, and eventually that we're going to get what we want out of there, but when you have wells, you have pumps, and they always talk about priming the pumps.
Yeah.
So you've got to sacrifice some of this thing that you're wanting a lot of to eventually get this the spring of this goodness
Sure.
that we all know is there.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I really see just getting the ability of robot to move money both ways is going to be such a it's just going to open up so many possibilities for people that I'm hoping people like Thomas Love and Nut Zipper and these real developers that understand coding, run with our idea and start turning out some really amazing dApps.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm afraid that they won't until we come up, and I keep calling these things simple-minded instantiations of this idea we're talking about, so that others can say, oh yeah, I see what they're doing now. And I see I see this project as being one where we will work out all these details. But the fact that we're somehow when you're working on a project by yourself, you always move faster because you always know more about the things you're interested in than anybody else. And there's also a more egotistical reward for working by yourself, because you can always say, oh, look what I did, and so creating works of art is a known good thing, but I don't think we're exploring these collaborative works of art as well as we should. And and I keep having to reflect back on movies. In movies, you've got your director, and I identify with the directors in movies. But this project has got me started thinking more about producers of works of art.
Sure.
The people who come up with the money and make sure everybody gets paid and has the meals delivered for the crew. The facilitators.
Right.
I can see what we're doing. We can have one project called director and another project called producer, and the producers compose several directors to create an ultimate work of art, which is a mini series about climate change or something.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we need more developers here. We need more developers watching what we're doing, and I think we can do that. I think we can get people's interest. Like at the next meeting, I think we should talk about who we invite to our group. And I don't think they will ignore the fact that we say, we added you to our team, and oh yeah, you got paid, 100 rocks for joining the team, or Rev or whatever, or Lumen or whatever we want to do it in. The contract's going to be executed in Rolang. We know that.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, when you went to Keybase and you saw them gambling over there in the channels, were you impressed?
Well, I think I didn't really see much gambling going on. I think I remember reading the chat about gambling. I forget it was one gambling game, but it was just kind of a quick glance of reviewing the conversation. So I don't have a great insight to that component or that aspect of it.
Well, to me, I recognized it for one thing. They were transferring funds,
Yeah.
based on contracts between users of their system. And I said, oh, that's what we want to do. And I knew that we could clone their robot pretty easily and then hook Rolang into it. But we're practically doing more than that now with Jim's voting system. I mean, I've told Jim before that what we're going to be doing on Keybase is easier than his voting system in Rolang. And he's doing something just as valuable, but we can't get any developers to recognize the value of what he's doing and join in the effort.
Yeah. 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 But I think here in a couple months, that sentiment and landscape will start to change.
Yeah,
As we.
yeah, and I'm seeing that too. And I started thinking about a possible bleak future, and that was, what if the co-op doesn't survive, and heaven forbid, and I'm working to see that doesn't happen. But it made me think something that, oh, I know who's going to continue the development of Rolang and RChain. It's going to be the dApp developers.
Yeah.
I mean, they're the ones that want it, and that's why we see Thomas Love and Nut Zipper and many others just going to town with their superb programming and technical skills.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that they're doing that is one of the reasons that I believe in RChain. If they weren't, I'd probably think I was crazy, because I would still think that highly of it, even if no one else was here. But I know that the dApp developers see the value in it.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed.
So yeah, the dApp developers are going to take a more and more active role in the administration and the direction and what happens. Yeah, that's for sure. And the funny thing is, oh wow, it's such a trade-off where you put your energy, as far as do we spend our time, working with exotic GraphQL, frameworks, that allow us to do everything imaginable under the sun, or do we focus on getting some working dApps going now? Through the path of least resistance, which I think that's what we're doing. We've
Yeah.
chosen the path of least resistance just so we can look a little bit further into the future, in a hands-on way.
Mm-hmm.
In a way that others will be able to recognize the value of what's happening.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
Well, we effectively filled the hour with what I consider excellent, thought-provoking discussion. I hope others find it interesting. This is part of the art object. Colab may have things to say about that, but if they do, that means they've taken interest enough in what we do to
Yeah.
complain about it. So
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, and I had another thought about this.
Mm-hmm.
Our art object is going to be displayable through rolling contracts, per the contract.
Mm-hmm.
It may require transfer of cryptocurrency. Eventually we want people not to abuse, our roll-line contracts and go off and just do any old thing with them. But at first, we're going to want people to share everything we produce, because the only way to see what we intended will be through our roll-line contracts. Will be to become members of the community. They will be, misuses by sharing our content on YouTube will just be a pointer. It'll be an advertisement for us.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. This is cool.
Very good.
All right, Steve. Thanks so much for continuing to carry the flag.
Yeah. Thank you, Gary. Enjoyed the session. Enjoy
Bye-bye.
your day. Take
Thank
care.
you. You too.